Welcome everybody to another episode of vBrownBag, Meet the Expert in VMworld 2017. I am super excited here to have David Burton, did I get that right?
Yes.
Who is a VCDX out of Pittsburgh, which is not my new hometown. I didn't know he existed until 3 days ago. So welcome and please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Ariel. My name is David Burton. I've been in Pittsburgh for the better part of 13 years now. I've been working at pretty much the same company the entire time. This is VMworld number 10 for me. However, this is my second year as a VCDX. I'm number 224. It was a pretty good conference so far.
There's a lot of interesting things there, but tell us about, especially because the VCDX is such a difficult certification to acquire.
Yes, it is.
So tell us a little bit about your career, right?
Sure.
And at what point did you decide that, yes, doing the VCDX is what I want?
I was interested in IT, computers, networking ever since I was a small child. But virtualization really started to pique my interest. Back in one of my first employment opportunities when I was in college, I started getting involved in virtualization when VMware was really not a company. And that was back when GSX was a big thing. And I started to enjoy it and stepped aside from my career for a little while, finished college, and then came back, and VMware's a big company now. And I immediately started jumping into virtualization, and this was 10 years ago. And nobody else had interest at the time, and virtualization was so exciting. So I started down that path. I wound up picking up a VCP on my own dime. My company didn't pick up the tab then, and it was VCP3.
Wow.
And I didn't think much more about certification. I was just so busy with my career. And after a few years of just kind of progressing my career, I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I really felt like I needed some validation. Now, a lot of folks who have a VCDX are employed by VMware. A lot of other folks I knew, who I met that were VCDXs, were validating kind of their skill sets, but they were working for value-added resellers because there's an incentive there. There's some expertise, and I felt like I'd been doing it long enough. I wanted a personal validation. This was for me.
Yes.
My employer, I don't work for a value-added reseller. I'm working in the private sector.
You're a customer.
Yeah, I'm a customer. So
you're a mythical VCDX customer.
There's not very many of us out there, but I really wanted some personal validation. And that was important to me, and I'd been in virtualization for so long, and I wasn't sure. On a whim, out of VMworld a few years ago, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. And it was at VMworld that I made the decision. And I went ahead and I renewed my VCP on the spot with one day of study.
So hold on,
Yeah.
Out of VCP3,
yes,
you didn't keep it up to date?
No, I did not.
Until VCP5?
Yes, it was a VCP5, and this was, a San Francisco VMworld. On a whim, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go get my certification. I was crammed the night before, and then I got up in the morning the next day at VMworld, went and took my VCP, and I passed it. And then I convinced myself that when I go home, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I stalled out for a little bit. I went and got my VCAP certifications, and then I did not do well. My VCDX submission the first time.
No, hold on, because the VCAPs, especially version 5, which
yes.
were the ones I took,
yes,
they were famous, right? The administration, you had to do it super fast. There was a whole strategy.
Oh gosh,
that design had that tool that was a problem for a lot of people.
Yep.
Did you fail?
I remember hearing about that. I failed one, and I blame the test.
Yeah.
I think I knew my stuff, but I made the horrible mistake of relying on the vSphere 5 web client to get me through. And the testing harness wasn't great. I got to the end and realized I didn't answer all the questions. I ran out of time. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard, admittedly. But as an admin, I've been an admin for so many years. The VCAPs I thought were easier than the VCP.
I totally agree.
Because
especially the VCAP administration.
From the hands-on perspective, I knew my stuff. Mm-hmm. But it was time management that was the challenge. So I got through my VCAPs actually pretty quickly. And my first, like I said, the first submission of the VCDX design paper, I did it solo. I didn't ask anybody for help.
You just grabbed the blueprint and you said, I'm doing this.
Yes, and that wasn't a great idea, especially since
Had you read
I wasn't an architect. Yeah, I read through the materials. I found some guides online which were invaluable, and I got what I thought was a sufficient paper, and I submitted it, and and it was rejected, but the pointers and the feedback were excellent. I was still fired up. I submitted it again. It was accepted. Oh gosh, that was a relief. And then I flew out to San Francisco and defended, and once again, I was shocked. And I did not pass with my first time around.
Who were your first panelists?
Oh, I guess I don't remember. They actually told me not to say.
Okay.
So I don't remember. And I almost said, you know what, that's it. I got my design approved. I know how to defend, but some of the scenario challenges were so. I was just unprepared for it. Let's put it that way.
Don't
just
tell me
unprepared.
that you basically, because the scenario challenges or the troubleshooting part, they took it off.
They took it. Actually, that was off for me as well. I didn't have to do that, but it was the line of questioning. It was very challenging. Just understanding what was being asked of me, and it was confusing. And then you sit there and you're writing on a whiteboard, and you've got people interrupting you, and the stress is there, and you're like, you get flustered. And I'm not usually a flustering kind of guy. I've got a teaching background. I was a high school teacher before. I'm not going to go into that, but I love getting up. I love getting up in front of people and talking and teaching. And that was my thing. And this was very different. So after my first failure, I felt like I could do it again, but I was crushed. I came back.
Well, it's a big endeavor.
It is. And I got some encouragement from a fellow VCDX, actually. I actually went on their website and I seeked out another VCDX who was willing to be a mentor. Okay. On the VCDX website, everybody who's a VCDX lists whether or not they're willing to be a mentor, and they list their email address, and I contacted one of them who's a VMware employee now, and he was an amazing mentor. He really helped me out with my presentations. Joseph Griffith. Formerly I think
IBM.
IBM, and he's a VMware architect now, at least right now.
And he was out of Ohio. Not
yes, he was. Actually, that's why I selected him. I thought, all right, if I'm going to find a mentor, I want to find somebody in the same time zone. So note if to anybody else who wants a VCDX, find somebody in the same time zone so you can communicate. And he helped me out quite a bit from just a pointers perspective, and being able to round out the answers to questions. So he was able to kind of give me examples of what a difficult question might be, and I learned, and I wasn't sure if I was going to apply again. My wife.
Question there.
Yeah.
Were you also doing this on your own dime?
Yes, I was. So this was many hours at Starbucks. My wife. I took an advice from somebody when I started.
Why Starbucks? Yeah, tell me.
I sat down with my wife before I even started the VCDX program, and I said, "Honey, I'm really interested in pursuing this. This is going to take time." And I kind of laid out my plan with her, so she and I could kind of agree. It's just how many hours? Because I needed family support. I really did. I needed my wife to be okay with me being gone on a Saturday for 9 hours straight, just studying.
So a lot of people, they basically hunker down in the attic or whatever,
Yeah.
So you said, I'm getting out of the house.
Yes, I had to. I've got a wife and kids, and I'm just too distracted with the day-to-day. So it was after work, and it was Saturdays that I did it. Sometimes I'd just stick my headphones on, listen to classical music, and I'd sit and work on my machine in my office at home. But like I said, it's sometimes it gets too familiar. You get distracted. So I knew there were times when I had to do document revisioning, or I needed to kind of practice going through the scenarios. I needed to be off on my own, or on the phone with a mentor or somebody. So
this is the first time I've heard somebody say, to force myself, I left. And most people I've seen basically created their home office and don't bother me.
Yeah.
But this is actually cool because you see all the time, especially in Pittsburgh with big universities, you see all these coffee shops and Ritter's, which is close to Ritter's Diner, which is close to my house. They have places that are full of people with computers, and I'm guessing now, one of them could be a VCDX, but there's also so many people working on thesis and stuff.
Yes.
So it's also like a communal thing. You're not alone in this kind of.
No, you're right. It's a college town.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there doing the same thing. They got their headphones on, laptops up, and they're studying away. We got to know a lot of baristas studying for VCDX. And you know what? My wife, she's the one who actually motivated me to go back and do it the second time. She said, I've committed all of these hours too.
Yeah.
Don't
Come
give
on.
up.
Yeah. Give me something.
Yeah, and I submitted again, and I made some improvements to my paper, actually. Even though my paper was approved the first time, I made improvements based on feedback I got for my face-to-face that I failed on, and that helped me better answer the questions I needed with the next face-to-face defense. And I actually wound up I was a little more motivated this time. I brought my wife with me out for the defense. We pre-celebrated, so I assumed that I was going to pass.
But I think that also speaks to your level of comfort.
Yes, it helped that I'd done it once, and although the emotions right after were just devastating when you get the email saying, yeah, you didn't pass, and it's devastating. And it wasn't motivational until my wife supported me, and I got back into it, and I felt that I was in a good place. And I pursued it a second time, and received my VCDX July of 2016.
After the second defense, were you also wondering, will I get it or not, or did you actually think I nailed this?
I was pretty confident. I think. Maybe pretty confident. Let's just say it this way. When I walked out, I called my wife and I said, I answered all the questions the best I could. They didn't stump me like they did the first time. And it's now up to how many points I got, I guess, based on their scoring. I don't know how that works. So it was all up to them. I was able to leave feeling like I'd put it all out there. Where the first time, I walked out and I was defeated. So it was very different the second time.
Yeah, really cool. Question for you. I know that as soon as you put VCDX on LinkedIn, you're gonna get people asking if you're a V expert and stuff like that. I'm sorry, no, but you didn't change jobs after that. You remain a customer at the same place.
I did. I stayed.
And did you change? Did your company actually say, "Hey, we saw that you did this"? I mean, how did it work how did it affect your work? Because I have to say, I know where you work and I know kind of what you do, and it's a really cool job. I wouldn't leave either. But did they say, oh, well, listen, you probably have some skills that we haven't used, or how did that work out?
Well, I want to back up just a moment to say that while I was getting my VCDX, I actually went to my boss and asked permission, because I knew that it was going to take a lot of time, and I actually used some of the content at my work, a real world scenario at work, to kind of build my paper on, and my boss supported me, and actually my company helped pay for the actual certification itself. So in that respect, I'm thankful that I was able to get my company to do that. Being that I'm not, like I said, I don't work for a value-added reseller, so having that certification wasn't a huge plug. Being in the private sector.
Well, on the other side, since they knew it was going on, and it wasn't like a surprise that you just showed up one day with a VCDX.
It wasn't. I definitely got a little bit of recognition. My vice president sent out an email to the group and let everybody know that I had this certification, and then it went out to do a company-wide newsletter and jazz, and that was pretty cool. And I had a few people teasing me in the halls back and forth for a bit, just kind of recognizing all the hard work I put in, and that was great. But what wound up happening out of it was, ironically, my level of responsibility went up. And that's with the added. It took a little while, but with the added responsibility came just an increased level of accountability, and I had
also decision making, I guess.
Indeed, and that helped. That wasn't my goal.
Right.
There was part of me that felt inside like maybe I earned something. And I went ahead and started posting to see if there's other people out there looking for jobs, and then I stepped back after that and realized I really still love what I do and I like where I work, but I felt like initially like, hey, look at me, I'm on top of a mountain. But I wasn't going to shift my career, uproot my family. I got the certification for me, and I wanted to be able to take that knowledge and spread it to my team, and bring more value to my company, and it took me probably a couple months to back off, stop looking for positions elsewhere.
Get off that high.
Right. That wasn't.
You started getting Twitter followers every day.
I did. Boy, I got a lot of Twitter followers. We're really early, and I got added to a bunch of VCDX lists.
So much fun when you realize so many geeks.
Yeah, there are.
They idolize the VCDX program because they know it's so hard.
Yeah, there's still not enough education out there. So I'm glad we're doing this because more people need to know about the VCDX program. Because it does take a lot of work and recognition. But like I said, I'm still content where I am.
That's good. So let's actually stop talking about VCDX.
Okay.
Because we're also trying to get to know you, right? And you've done an excellent. Actually, I learned a lot. So I hope I'll put a tag there that if you want to learn about the VCDX program, please watch this video. But tell me about yourself. What do you like?
Like personally?
Yes.
Oh boy. Well, I live in Pittsburgh. We established that. Ironically, I'm a hockey player. I'm trying to get involved with actually watching hockey. Ironically, I'm not a big professional sports fan.
Okay.
I'm a player. I love to play sports. So I used to snowboard with the last name of Burton. It kind of goes hand in hand. My biggest hobby, I guess, is being a family man. You know, I'm a dad and a husband first. I spend a lot of time with my family, You
mentioned classical music.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you like teaching.
Yes.
So have you ever thought of going back to teaching? Because one of the things that I find is fun is that at a certain level, in IT at least, you're basically gonna get mentors or you're gonna buy books, but there is no, like the IT formal studies are like for project management or something very specific, but in our field, like virtualization architect, and I'm super happy that John and Rashid has made that IT architect series books because they're putting a lot more content out there. There's really not that much for someone to start from zero, like you were doing, that you were just saying, okay, this is what I need to do. I mean, that blueprint is going from the VCAP design to the VCDX. There's a huge gap there.
There is.
Yeah,
they're working on that.
Have you thought of going back to teaching?
My passion is still there. Actually, the subject I taught was mathematics, so I'll put that under one of my passions. I really enjoy mathematics, and there's part of me that would love to go back into mathematics. I guess one of my long-term goals, passions, if you will, is to get to the point where income is not as significant for me. My family, my kids are grown up and gone. I'm excited at the thought of being able to take what I've learned and share it with people. Like I said, right now my focus is family, but I have a strong passion for teaching. And working where I do in IT, I love teaching IT as well. That's great. I've had opportunity. I didn't do any sessions this year at VMworld, but I might next year. I did the previous year. I was on a panel, but I do get really excited when it comes to technology, especially as technology starts to overlap with mathematics. So I get really excited with that kind of stuff, optimizations and automation and things like that. So I'm very passionate about teaching.
Damon Bear released a risk book. And he includes formulas on how to calculate risk.
Oh,
you want to take a look at that?
I actually have mathematical equations and formulas in my VCDX design paper.
There you go.
So I actually whiteboarded it when I was doing my defense. I actually put the mathematical equations on the board. So yes, I'm a geek. Okay.
Well, I think we finally got a little more rounded version of who you are. We know what you like, and I think that will be for our video. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
One last thing, if people want to reach out to you, how can they get to you? I mean, obviously at Twitter, but is there any preferred method for you?
I'm getting involved a little bit more with Twitter, not much, and my blog is dead. I started it a few years back doing a lot of PowerShell because I do a lot of automation, and I have not been able to find cycles to pick it back up again. So Twitter's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me right now. Hey VBurt, HEYVBURT, Burt, just shortened version of my last name, is my Twitter handle, and that's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
All right, thank you so much for this.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.